Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Fortnite In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the new compact submachine gun and why it's overpowered. Normally on In Depth, I like to do dry, factual reviews, devoid of opinion. However, this gun is just incredibly strong. We're going to be going over all of the stats and everything about it today, of course, but I do honestly believe that the compact SMG is overpowered, and if it's overpowered on purpose, it may mark the start of a deliberate and huge meta shift in Fortnite away from wood building and towards aggression and higher mobility. And I want to open up this video by telling you that not only did a new SMG come out, but building mechanics were significantly changed, especially when it comes to wood builds. Wood builds now start with 80 hit points instead of 100, and they also max out at 150 instead of at 200 HP. So wood is significantly weaker start to finish, and we have something that utterly destroys them. And what that results in is that the structures just don't protect you very well anymore. And instead of just jumping straight into like how many shots to kill a person or rate of fire or something like that, I wanted to show you exactly what this gun does to wood, brick, and steel buildings. For our little test, I'm in playground mode, and I decided to build 10 of these little woods in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in the back. I'm going to go ahead and just completely spray it down with the gold tier compact SMG, though the shots to break don't really make much difference. And you'll see that with one magazine, I managed to break 7 and almost 8 wood structures, which is incredible to think that I can chew through that many structures with one magazine. We're going to go ahead and repeat this exact same test with brick, and you'll see that even against brick, this weapon is incredibly strong. Just by holding down the trigger and spraying, I'm going to manage to break through 4 pieces of brick. I don't even manage to damage the one on the other side. And finally, when it comes to steel, you're going to see a slightly different story. Because steel has 500 total HP on the structures depending on exactly how you've built them, it doesn't really affect this very much. In this test, I was only able to break 2 pieces of steel, though I'm going to say that's pretty impressive for a submachine gun. So looking at it mathematically, these are completely built up maximum HP structures. A compact SMG will break through 7 wood builds per magazine, or it could break up to 12 fresh wood or brick builds. So if you've got somebody kind of on the run and they're kind of spamming trying to protect themselves, even with bricks, since it only starts at 80 HP, you could break 12 of those with one magazine, which is incredibly high, and structures in general are protecting you a lot less, not only with this SMG, but with a variety of other things like the new minigun, the LMG, the other SMGs, C4, all that sort of stuff. And I believe the design goal on Epic's part is to deprioritize wood, so that instead of building wood for protection, you now want to build wood for mobility. Wood is for rushing, wood is for temporary cover or concealment, and if you want actual protection, you're going to have to build brick or steel. That's pretty much the only way to do it. I'm not sure how this meta is going to stick or if people are going to like it, but it's definitely changing. Now let's get into the rest of the stats of the compact SMG. The purple version will deal 23 damage, and the gold one will deal 24 damage per shot. These damage comparisons make it a little bit on the high end, but not quite as high as the drum gun. You see the regular SMG is 21, suppressed is 24, compact is 24, so they're pretty similar in that regard, and the drum gun's slightly higher at 27, all of them lower than rifles. It deals double damage for headshots, so a headshot with the purple one will deal 46 damage, and a headshot with the gold one will deal 48 damage. Also, of course, the compact SMG has a large 50 round magazine, which means that you can put down a lot of sustained pressure on somebody. You can spray for a very long time, and you can put a lot of lead downstream, and it makes it very hard to deal with, especially when the bullets are high damage. Instead of a regular no-skin warrior today, we are going to load up one of those fake no-skins that I run into every single game that's just actually a sweaty boy in disguise to take a look at shots to kill. Very early game, if you get this out of a chest immediately, it'll still take 3 headshots to kill, or 5 body shots. It seems like quite a few shots to kill, but don't worry, the gun shoots plenty fast and you won't have a problem with it. Mid-game, if you find somebody with 150 total health, it'll take 4 headshots to kill, or 7 to the body. And of course, finally, if you make it all the way to the late game, which you very well should if you happen to have this weapon in your inventory, it can take up to 5 headshots to kill, or 9 shots to the body. Again, this seems like a lot of shots, but it's actually not that many given how fast the gun shoots. And of course, at longer ranges, you can get damage decreases, but at that range, you're basically using it as a suppression annoyance weapon, not really like a pure killer. The compact SMG's rate of fire is 600 260 rounds per minute, which is very high. It's among the highest in the game, but it isn't the highest. It's really fast. But if you have a, let's say, second highest damage and second highest rate of fire and a lot of these other kind of good factors, you put them together, what you'll see is that the Compact SMG's damage per second is 246. That makes it the new highest DPS weapon in the entire game, and I feel like I have to say that every single episode, because every single episode they're adding something that has an incredibly high DPS, from the burst on the burst rifles, to the first 2 shots on the akimbo pistols, to the suppressed SMG, to the new SMG, and now finally to this Compact SMG. They're adding a whole bunch of extremely high DPS weapons that completely outclass assault rifles. Though to be fair, this is pretty close to the regular blue SMG. So what I talk about there for highest DPS is the gold Compact SMG. Only the gold one outdoes the blue regular. The blue regular will still actually outdo the purple Compact SMG, though they're very, very similar. Just assume that they're all very high DPS weapons. The tiers do have very minor changes on bloom, recoil, damage, and reload time. When it comes to bloom and recoil, they're probably not even something you can measure without zooming in and counting pixel by pixel, so I'm not going to worry about that. We already did damage. Reload time is pretty simple as well. The purple one reloads in 3.1 seconds, and the gold one will reload in 3 seconds. These are slower than any other reload times for the submachine guns, and very slow in general, though I do find that to be a good balance, because usually weapons that have really high capacity magazines in video games have a slower reload time just so that you can't infinitely spam people, and that's a-okay with this one. It might debatably be the weapon's only weakness. Moving along, the new Compact SMG also has the highest structured DPS in the game. This gun just shreds bases like they were made out of paper. It's better than the regular SMG, it has a higher base DPS than the minigun, though the minigun can sustain fire for a super long period of time. It's better than the LMG, better than any of the rifles. It is just the best base buster in the entire game, and it makes your enemies feel like they're hiding behind cardboard. If you're shooting 3 or 4 of them at wood in squads, this is hilarious because you literally can't outbuild this. If you have multiple people shooting this submachine gun at bases, it's like having multiple miniguns. They pretty much can't outbuild it. You can suppress them, you can wear them down, and you can harass them to the end of time. The Compact SMGs do not have first shots accuracy, but that won't be an issue because they have a very tight hipfire box. It's not quite as tight as the regular SMG, but it's very, very tight and very, very functional. I think most of you would call it an accurate weapon, and most of you will have an easy time using it, which is one of the reasons that I think that it's so overpowered. When it comes to actual recoil, how the little dot is going to kick up and how your hipfire box or bloom box is going to move around, it's a little bit higher than the suppressed SMG, a little higher than the rifles, and even a little higher than the regular SMG, but it's still low compared to most games and still very manageable. Again, I don't think many players are going to have a difficult time using this weapon. Compact SMG is great at every range except for long range, and it's okay at that. It's fantastic up close, it's fantastic medium range, and at long ranges it's probably not as good as a rifle or any kind of DMR, but the hipfire box is tight enough and you put enough lead downstream, you can definitely spam it, and you can get harassment hits on people, and if they're weak enough or if you have some team support, you can definitely get kills long range, so it's not exactly a terrible long range weapon either. The scary thing about this is that when it comes down to it, I think I prefer these new Compact SMGs over shotguns for close quarters combat. I mean, I like shotguns, they one-hit people, especially the new heavies and stuff, but I do better work with the new Compact SMG. It's very, very easy to use, it's very forgiving. I don't have to worry about waiting in between shots in this little bunny hop metagame. I can just track people, hold down the trigger, and spray them. Though that's where the one downside comes in. The gun shoots really fast, and you can empty your magazine really, really fast. So if your tracking is trash, or if you just don't pay attention to what you're doing, you can find yourself waiting in that 3-second reload to get your gun back up, which is kind of hell on earth, and you really, really don't want to be there. That's why it's still probably better to have an SMG as a backup weapon, another Compact SMG, regular SMG, suppressed SMG, or another shotgun, just some kind of backup weapon you can use. But for the most part, I open up my initial close range fights with the SMG now instead of with the shotguns. And there's a lot of reasons that I think that this weapon is overpowered. The building is something that's essential to this game, even though I'm actually trash at it. My building skills live in a dumpster with Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street, but The skill floor for breaking buildings and even for killing people with the new Compact SMG is really low. Any bad player can pick up this weapon and easily kill you with it. It's not hard to spray somebody down, it's not hard to break a base, it's not hard to aim with, it's not hard to use. There's basically nothing difficult about the weapon, and the reward is incredibly high with very little skill required to be put in. However, if I had to write a summary about why it's OP, which would essentially be a summary of this episode, it has the highest DPS against players, highest DPS against build, it has a huge magazine for sustained fire, it's relatively accurate, it works at pretty much any range, and it's very easy to use. There's really nothing that I can say is wrong with this gun, except for the fact that you can dump your magazine quickly and the reload is slow, but those are negligible compared to all of those benefits, and especially, I don't know if you guys have been doing this, but I've been doing this, I just carry 2 of these things, or 3 of these things, and when one of my magazines is done, I just swap right over to the next one and go straight back to spraying people, and I'll reload and deal with all that other stuff later. Having 2 or 3 in your kit is just ludicrous, and it makes you very, very hard to deal with. I do hope that at some point in the future, maybe somebody at Epic Games watches this video and decides to rework the Compact SMG a little bit, or rework building just a little bit, or at least be a little bit more clear on their design goals. Again, I really do suspect that they want to prioritize different types of builds for different situations instead of everybody just building wood all the time. Guys, that is all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.